Let's find out what it takes to get this installed on your bike. Alright, let's see what you get in the package. First thing in the bag, these. Not really sure what those are. And you've got this bag. It's got all your wires in it. And another smaller bag with Torx bits. Or Torx screws, I mean. And then there is actually a driver in there for those screws. Not sure what those are for yet, but obviously they're important. Then you've got your plate, and this is actually the one off of the bag that I have already, but you get the exact same thing in the kit. The last thing you get is instructions, and I did break tradition and actually read these, or well, attempted to, and I have to say they're the most worthless instructions I've gotten in a long time. I honestly wouldn't waste your time on these, and if you feel like this is the kind of project that you need instructions for, you're definitely going to want to find the instructions elsewhere, or maybe even consider having somebody do this for you. Messing around with the electrical system on your bike, you should have a little bit of an idea of what you're doing before you get into it. So hopefully this video will be enough to make you feel comfortable doing this yourself. Alright, we're over here at the bike now, and you will need to buy separately one of these tank rings if you don't already have an EVO quick lock tank bag. I obviously do have one of these bags already, so this ring is already installed on my bike. The electric kit will install in these two holes here on the front of the ring. So your step one is to go ahead and remove this. Alright, and once you've got your ring off of there, you're going to want to put those bolts somewhere that you're not going to lose them, because they will be reused. And depending on the application of your bike, you may have these little spacers in those holes. Don't let those fall out. On my bike, they're kind of trapped in here, so I'm just going to let them sit there. If you're doing this project and you don't already have this ring on your bike, you didn't have a quick lock tank bag before, don't install the tank ring yet, because the first thing you need to do is remove this plate that's in the back. There's like a plug in here, and there's two tiny little Torx screws. There's one there and one there, and you need to remove those so that you can pull the plug out of the back, and it'll open up these two holes here. Alright, we're over at the table, and we're going to remove these two screws here. I'm not sure if this will be the case for everyone, or if this is just my tank ring, but the bit that's included in the kit, the one I showed you a minute ago, is a T6, and the screws in my ring are a T5. So luckily I had a tool to get this apart, but might want to check into that before you get all excited about starting this project and then realize you don't have the tools you need. So let's go ahead and take those out. And we'll zoom back out and I'll show you the electronic portion. So now we've got the screws out of here, and we just need to push this plug I'm pushing with my pointer finger on the back side on these, and that'll pop that plug out of there. Oop, just like that. And now your tank ring has holes in it, and those holes line up with this. This is where the magic happens for your electronic portion of the bag. This replaces that plug we just knocked out in the ring, just like that. And then these two gold pieces are the contacts for the pins that we'll install later in the bag. And this is what allows you to have 12 volts available to your bag, but you don't have to unplug anything. You just snap it on, it makes a connection. So let's throw those screws back in and then move on. Alright, now we've got the electronic portion installed in our tank ring. At this point, we're going to set this aside because to remove all the paneling on my bike to do the wiring, this plate has to be off of my filler cap. So we'll just leave this here and move on to the installing the pins in the quick lock adapter, which is this piece. And then we'll go over to the bike and install the wiring. Hey, pardon the interruption, coming at you from the future here. I got everything installed and could not get power into the bike, and realized that there is a difference between these two plates other than the color. The one that's all black was on my original tank bag, and then this is the one that came with the kit. I figured they were exactly the same, so I could just use the old one without having to switch things around. But you'll notice right there, that's actually a little magnet, and that is what cuts the power here. When you take the tank bag off, there must be a little magnetic switch in here, and when that magnet is too far away, kills the power to these. So you've got to have this one, the one that has the maroon colored teeth on it. The old one that came with my bag, it has the spot for the magnet, but I don't know how you'd take it apart and get a magnet in there, so I'm just going to switch the mounts around. So for those of you that are doing this to update a tank bag you already have, make sure you use the right mount. Carry on. Okay, now we've got our quick lock adapter, and you need to fish this piece out of the bag of all the wires that came with your kit. And what we do with this, real simple, flip it upside down, and you take this black piece here, and take note it's got this tab on it for a screw. That lines up with this screw hole here, and you just insert it in there and then install the screw to hold it down. Okay, and now you've got these weird wires sticking up out of here. So let's talk about how that works. We'll move this off to the side. Okay, here is the tank bag that we're going to install the electrified kit onto. If you watched my last video on the overview of the SW Motech micro tank bag, you'll know that I bought that in the electrified version with the intention of using the electrified kit on this KTM branded tank bag. Even though this says KTM on it down here, it's actually made by SW Motech and uses the exact same mounts. So this is the bag that I take on trips, and I want to be able to have phone chargers, GoPro battery chargers, and that sort of thing inside of here. So we've got our plate that we just put the wires in, and if we flip our bag upside down, you'll see we've got the 4 mounting holes, and then this is the one that's used for the safety or the security device, and this one is to feed the wires through for the electrical kit. So we're going to feed these through to the inside of the bag. And it's a little bit tight. I probably could use a bigger drill bit. I may actually have to re-drill this. There we go. Now, put it back in place and install your screws. That's it for that portion of the install. Now the biggest part of the project is installing the wiring on the bike. We'll move over to the bike now. Alright, we're over here at the bike, ready to start the big part of the project. Sorry for the strange angle, I just wanted to try and show real quick all the way from the battery up to the fuel tank. To give you kind of an idea of how much wire you have to work with in this kit. We'll fix everything camera angle wise once we get to the installation. So in your kit, you get this whole set of wires, this bundle of wires, and when you unravel it, you'll notice it's actually pretty high quality components. Everything's in this really nice protective sheath. You've got more than enough wire to to reach your fuel tank from wherever your battery might be on your bike. You'll notice there's a relay in this kit, and the purpose of that is there's a signal wire on the tank ring. You'll see on this plug here, that white wire, that detects whether or not your tank bag is installed on these 2 pins and sends a signal to this relay. And if there's nothing on your tank ring, if your bag's not installed, this relay opens the circuit to your tank ring so that there's no power to this, which is a pretty cool feature because if you think about it, you've got 12 volts sitting up here right next to your gas tank, right at the filler neck. So when you remove your tank at the gas station, this relay kills power here, so there's no chance of a spark. So you'll see, I can't even fit this all in frame here, but you've got your battery terminal ends that goes this big long wire all the way to the relay, and then from the relay, more wire to this plug. I can't fit it all in frame. I need a better camera setup, but there's plenty of wire. You're going to end up having to coil wire up and zip tie it in place somewhere. So the end we're worried about right now is these 2 ring terminals. It's intended that you hook this directly to your battery the way they have it set up. Keep in mind, if you go with this setup, you can run your battery dead. If your tank bag has something plugged into it and you're charging something overnight, you could potentially kill your battery. Ideally, you would take these wires, snip these ring terminals off, and hook up to a switched power source. I am actually going to go with these directly to the battery the way they have it set up now. I carry quite a bit of camera gear with me, and sometimes I need to charge things overnight, so I want the ability to do that. I always carry a lithium jumper pack with me just in case I do kill my battery, so it's not too big of a deal. But once again, just a warning, if you do go directly to your battery, you can kill your battery overnight. Alright, next we're going to move on to the actual installation of the wires. I'm not going to give you a perfect play-by-play installation because this is specific to each individual bike. I'm happen to be working on a 1290 Super Adventure. Every bike's going to be different, so I'm just going to throw the camera into a time-lapse mode, tear the thing apart, get the wires installed, and then we'll come back once that's done. Alright, we've got everything installed. We're back here looking at the gas tank. Put your tank bag on and it makes a connection. See there, we've got 12 volts. As soon as I unclip it, it disconnects, and because that magnet moves away from the switch, it shuts the relay off and you don't have any power up here by your fuel cap. There you go. So that's all for now. Hopefully that was helpful to somebody. Please leave a comment if you have anything to say or if you've got a question, and we will see you on the next one.